And now, ladies and gentlemen of the old world, we're back in business once again with a showdown between the Empire, who shall be led by Volkmar the Grim, coming in hot with the dreaded double wagon. So we have a war wagon mortar here, and we do also have the Hellblaster volley gun. And today, my friends, we face off against Xiphos and his dreaded Wood Elves, and it looks like he does also have triple Way Watchers, so certainly some very classic stuff. So this is a build you guys actually saw a couple weeks ago with a slight modification, so I did have a game against Aerocrastic. And like I said, in this matchup, what do the Wood Elves not like? They don't like artillery, they don't like mortars, they don't like cannons, and how do they beat that? Well, what they do is they bring a Waystalker with Arrow of Kurnus and a Glade Lord with Arrow of Kurnus as well. Every single one of those casts is actually going to be taking out an artillery piece. So the Arrow of Kurnus goes after a cannon, a mortar, it takes out one of those pieces, right? So you're losing value, and then it forces you to advance, which is what the Wood Elves want. They want you to advance without artillery support, so they can get you with Praise of Anathrema and these different things and really outvalue you. But kind of the tech against that, and I've had really good success with this build. I actually haven't had too much trouble facing off against the Way Watchers. Granted, we'll see if Xiphos can pull some schemes here, but nonetheless, you get the War Wagon Mortar, and mortars, again, are good against archers, and the wagons are almost impossible to snipe with Arrows of Kurnus. And even if they do get a really good direct hit, you have the regrowth, you have some solid healing with your life caster, so you can really kind of outdo that. On top of that, with 380 range, you can heavily outrange the Way Watchers, get good steady value, and even if you don't hit them, it's forcing them to run, it's forcing them to move, which allows you to be a little bit more maneuverable with the rest of your army. But this is the real breadwinner, and without these guys, the build just wouldn't work. These are the Black Lion's Warblaster wagon. So these things are just such a hard counter against Way Watchers, against Wild Riders. They absolutely destroy those respective units. And again, you can't really snipe them with Arrows of Kurnus. So if Wood Elves are relying on Arrows of Kurnus, which, like I said, pretty much every competitive Wood Elf player does, and their dog and mom and third cousin, they're going to be in trouble if they can't bring this down. So for the front line, though, it's going to be Sigmar's Sons, Flagellants, as well as Spearmen, because though this build is very good against Wood Elf Kite, with the double wagon, it would potentially struggle against a rush, right, with these two pieces. So to beat the rush, you bring Volkmar, Flagellants, and Sigmar's Sons. This is a good front line. Flagellants will hold. They can fight Triads, they can fight War Dancers, and if they go with those, you have Volkmar as well to roll in, and Volkmar is pretty much the WD-40 to counter all infantry rushes. He's very good against them with his AoE damage and his chariot abilities. So Empire Knights are also the other piece of this build that's super important. Empire Knights are the ultimate roadblock against Wood Elves. They don't have the best fight against Wild Riders, but with 110 armor, they can hold them off and really make your opponent pay the troll toll. So I really do like the Empire Knights. Jade Wizard in the back and a single silver bullet in case they go with an Ancient Tree Man or something like that. Or if they're trying to poke into your front here with some of their archers, you can surprise them with the silver bullets and really do some great work. My usual build here, I didn't have the mortar wagon, but I've been using it lately and I actually really like it. But usually I have double silver bullet, not silver bullet, but double handgunner as well. So for Xiphos' build, you guys have seen the trick. It's the Glade Lord with Prey of Anathrema, triple Way Watcher, just melting my Flagellants here. Brutal stuff. Waystalker. It's going to be Sisters of Thorn, Wild Riders, and then also some Eternal Guard kind of saturated about. So really it's just kind of drag me through the mud, kite me, force me into bad engagements, catch me with Prey of Anathrema, and butter that Empire bread. And Xiphos is certainly one of the best at doing that. So here you can see Volkmar the Grim being shot by some of the bows, but he cares not for the bows of these Glade Lords here in the Waystalker. He takes it like a champ and heals up the HP he had lost already. And now we're just going to be kind of scooting up. The mortars are shooting. We got some contact here. And like I said, even if the mortars don't make the best contact, it's forcing your opponent back. And here, the silver bullet ambush. It's so good. I'm able to ambush that Glade Lord. He takes a ton of damage and might even take a second volley. And you can see the Hellblaster volley gun is also able to shoot into that Glade Lord. So it forces him back. A lot of Wood Elf players like to sit forward with their Glade Lord so they can catch you with a prey and then follow up. So I was just trying to hit him hard there to keep him from using his Prey of Anathrema and really punishing me for extending here. So in the meantime, Hellblaster volley gun has switched onto the Way Watchers here, is getting some serious damage. My handgunners are now shooting at the Waystalker here, and like I said, the Way Watchers being forced back by the mortar is huge here, because if they're able to sit here comfortably, then they're going to be able to just switch onto Volkmar, shoot my wagon. So the mortar wagon is actually a really unsung hero here. Even though it's probably not going to get a ton of kills, it will force those guys back, and is constant pressure that the Wood Elf player has to really be reactionary to and micro around. So now a little bit of a stall in the battle. He does use a nice Earthblood there, which will pretty much mitigate most of the damage. Granted, we've taken out 7 Way Watchers here, 6 here it looks like, and the other one is pretty much in perfect health, so not too much, but we're getting that slow push here, and you can see I do expect a counter punch here. So I saw that he was coming forward with his Lord, so I use a regrowth here to counter the damage coming in, and now I just unload everything on the Glade Lord, my handgunners, the wagons, and this was a bit of a mistake by me, having the black line so close, but you can see the Way Watchers are shooting it, but the regrowth is actually countering that. On top of that, I'm positioned through a tree line, so some of the trees are actually blocking the shots here. So definitely solid, but I can't let him keep shooting here, so I do advance. So I get Sigmar's Sons, and this is the Horn of Sigmar is sounded once more in the deep as Volkmar the Grim and the Empire Knights are going to be scooting forward, and this is the time to strike. So knowing that the army is a little bit kind of out of position because of the Hellblaster, they're wanting to stay back. So they're not really here to stop. The Empire Knights are able to get a juicy charge into the Way Watchers there, which mostly does HP damage. But the Wild Riders are going to be countercharging. I don't want any of that considering he has spears nearby and other supporting elements. So I simply pull back here, get Volkmar the Grim rolling, and even if they snipe Volkmar, I have another regrowth, and I do also have the Shield of Faith, so I'm very comfortable with that. Mortar's still going in, Hellblaster Volley Gun still singing like an absolute champion. And I believe the Wood Elf Lord actually did get blasted off the battlefield. So yeah, it ran towards the edge of the battle. I was just very focused on the other action. So we got the Lord down, which is really, really big. No more Prey of Anathrema. And here, Volkmar the Grim is doing his thing. And like I said, Sigmar Sons and Flagellants will manhandle the Wood Elf front line very, very easily, especially with buffs from Volkmar. And nobody wants to shoot at Volkmar, right? This build is kind of like a porcupine. You don't give him any good targets to shoot and you can prosper. Now Volkmar is going to be dropping a banishment here while the Hellblaster wagon shoots at the Wild Riders, forcing them back. And a brutal banishment tears through those Wood Elf lines. That hits Way Watchers, it hits Wild Riders. Oh, just the sheer punishment of that. So much damage going down. And now you can see the balance of power for the first time in the game. Definitely is really reflecting the Empire being in the lead here. But what's really cool is even if that didn't work out, I can still fall back, use my Mortar wagon and my Hellblaster wagon. And the initiative is on the Wood Elves to come to me, which is how Wood Elves win this matchup. They force you to come to them, they kite you, they isolate things as you overextend yourself. But in this case, I have that constant backline pressure, which is sort of a ticking time bomb here against the Wood Elves. And you can see the Sigmar Sons, Volkmar the Grim rolling in. Volkmar should easily be able to take out that Spellsinger now, and the Empire Knights are now surging forward. The Wild Riders are forced into an awkward position, trying to get around the side, probably to take out my wagon. But, you know, the wagon, man, just does so much damage. Sisters of Thorn focus down. And now it is time to butter the sweet bread of these Way Watchers, and that is going to be all she wrote. Zyphos knew at that point it was pretty much over, so definitely don't blame him. But, you know, the battle was relatively short. I just wanted to show you guys this build, because a lot of people do struggle against Wood Elf Kite, but there's unorthodox things in this game, which many people would consider a joke, like the Mortar Wagon, but in niche circumstances, against, you know, the, let's say, the Arrow of Kernus sniping, it can be useful. Yes, only one kill, but you saw it did a lot of splash damage, HP damage, and was also able to keep my opponent on the back foot. The Mortar Wagon was also, not Mortar Wagon, but the Hellblaster Wagon is by far the best, though. It took out the Lord, it killed so many Way Watchers, it pressured the Wild Riders to the point where they couldn't even really defend the Archer line. Very, very good. And yeah, even if they go with a Dryad Rush or something, the one thing that this build might have trouble with would be like a mass Wild Rider Rush, like 4 of them, like coming in with an aggressive build with like a Dragon Lord. I think that could probably give me some serious trouble. But yeah, I don't know. The Hellblaster and the Handgunners might be able to defend off a Dragon. It's hard to say. Empire Knights, of course, can do their thing, and you have a decent infantry corps, but I think that would be the biggest problem. The Mortar Wagon is the one I like, but I'm like constantly on the fence of cutting it, but then at times it does really well for me. So yeah, I have to think about that one. But because if you cut the Mortar Wagon, you can get a lot more defense. But I don't like to rely just on the black lines for pressure, because if they get caught and you screw up, then you just lose the game in many ways. But even still, you have Volkmar. It can do some work. But yeah, guys, this is my Empire build versus Wood Elves. Definitely have enjoyed it quite a bit. Hopefully you guys enjoyed that one. I know it'll be a relatively quick replay there, but I just wanted to show you the true power of Volkmar the Grim. There were some other builds. Yeah, let's actually go to the drawing board and see what we do if we cut that Mortar Wagon. I did like that, but I feel like maybe my build would be weak to a true rush build. Now, Dryads, Wild Riders, like a ground-based rush build, if they just go with an infantry rush, Volkmar will dump them. Like, he'll just take them out, no problem. But what happens when we have to deal with like a kind of a Felcon style Wild Rider rush, right? I think that's where things become a little bit scary. Again, Zyphos' playstyle, I think the build's very good. Like the Kite build. You have the Spearmen. You have a Lifecaster to heal the wagons. That's like super essential. And Earthblood and Regrowth are both good, but typically you're going to be using Regrowth. That's going to be the breadwinner for you. So you 100% want the Black Lions. I wonder if like a steam tank could be something. The thing is, the steam tank is so much more expensive. The Mortar Wagon is $950. It's not that much more than a regular mortar, so like maneuverability of it is good. Silver bullets, triple Empire Knight is also good. How do we deal with like a really annoying? You know what? Maybe we just go with double Outrider. Life Bloom is okay. Restores 40 hit points. Yeah, I guess that's like kind of can add up over time. We definitely want the Shielded Spearmen. The Outriders could be a decent thing, although if we cut these, getting another like elite cab unit could be good, like as your finisher. So you bring in the elite cab unit, quote unquote elite. This thing will destroy Wild Riders in combat. Granted, its melee defense is very low at 24, so maybe that's not the way. You could go with Pistoliers too. Like, cause I feel like you win the infantry rush, but the quad Wild Riders, like pinning down your black lines is like the worst nightmare. So you need to have something to peel for that. Which I guess you could just leave Volkmar back there to kind of defend it. Or we could come in with like some Demogryph Knights. Zentler's Reichsguard could be something to consider as well. I don't think another artillery piece is the answer. I'm just trying to find like the ultimate middle ground. So like you can fend off a couple different styles of play. Because like, yeah, the Weight Watchers get sniped by the Hellblaster wagon. But if they come in with a Dragon Rush, how are we going to beat a Dragon? Because like not much in this build is good against monsters. I think that's the biggest weak point. Maybe we just go with more handgunners, right? Like more focus fire. Or if we could find a way to get like a Demi or something. So we could get the Royal Altar of Griffites, which of course would be very, very good there. And then we can get like some Spearmen. Yeah, you know what? I actually kind of like this. Like Royal Altar of Griffites can kill the monsters. You have the Hellblaster. You still have the Empire Knight support and handgunners. You just leave Griffites super far back as your like late game finisher. Yeah, something to think about. Anyways, guys, hopefully you enjoyed this Empire vs. Wood Elf game and the dreaded double wagon build. And until then, we'll see you guys next time. Cheers.